What's up, everybody, and welcome to Under the Hood with me, Jay Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Everything we do on YouTube as we talk about the weekend in sports in Chicago and everywhere else. I'd like to remind you that our broadcast today, as we talk about the weekend and look forward to the week, is presented by our friends over at Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. Owning a home and building equity in that home is one important pathway to growing wealth. Make sure that you lock in with Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. They've helped my family. They can help yours as well. You can find them on X at NHS Chicago. And of course, Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. Look them up. And if you're looking to get out of that dusty loft or that apartment that's just too small and want to be able to plant roots, make sure you check out Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. NHSchicago.org is where you go. They have celebrated their 50th anniversary in business. So, again, they've helped my family. They can help yours as well. NHS Chicago for Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. I'm hoping that you're going to have a great week. I hope that you had a great weekend. There's plenty to talk about here, starting with umpires in baseball. And we got a lot to get to, but I just want to start there. So Craig Counsell and Nico Hoerner get thrown out of the game on Sunday in an excellent series for the Chicago Cubs against the Detroit Tigers. The Cubs lose the series 2 out of 3. I thought it was a playoff atmosphere. This could be a World Series preview. That's fine. But I just don't understand some of these umpires in baseball. Nico Hoerner gets kicked out by telling the umpire, "You're not having a good day." That was his actual quote. I'm not even BSing with you. You're not having a good day because the umpire was not good early in game 3 of that series, and Nico Hoerner gets kicked out. And Craig Counsell, of course, for the first time gets thrown out as well, and rightfully so, because he's just trying to protect his player. But I'm just telling you right now, you can't have a conversation with umpires anymore. It is amazing to me today in baseball where if you have a question about, okay, where was that? What do I have to look out for the next pitch or the next at bat? You can't even say anything to these umpires. I mean, Horner's saying you had a bad day. Okay. Some will take that and say, well, what do you mean by that? What's your problem with the pitch? Or they just throw you out automatically. And I just thought that was pretty soft. But as far as the Cubs are concerned, I always say this about sports. There's levels to this. The Cubs are playing really solid baseball. Very, very good as we are going to get to July here pretty soon. And they're doing this without Shota Imanaga. They've done this with a litany of injuries on this team, but yet they find a way to win baseball games because their offense is strong. Pete Armstrong and Tucker when he's in there, and Nico Hoerner with runners in scoring position. It's a good baseball team. However, you just know that when you take on the Detroit Tigers, they have the best record in the big leagues right now. They may not be aesthetically pleasing, but the point is, though, is that it's a good baseball team because they find a way to get on base and they score runs. And so I thought it was a really good series, and maybe down the line we'll see that again, those two between the Tigers and the Cubs. But as far as the umpire is concerned, I mean, in game 1 and game 3, it just was not good. It was not good. And I watch all of these videos on Instagram, maybe you do as well, where they have these umpire aggregators where they look at how many pitches that are missed by umpires. I know it's a tough spot, right? You can't get everything perfect when you're an umpire, but my God, you just can't be so inconsistent that people are putting a red flag on you saying that guy's a bad umpire. It's a tough job, but you got to be better than what we have seen from some of these umpires we see around the big leagues. But I thought that the Hoerner and the Counsell ejections were completely out of bounds. I don't think you had to have that. But again, that's where we are today in 2025. You cannot argue balls and strikes at all. No conversation at all, which is just absolutely bananas. How about the Chicago White Sox? The White Sox won 2 out of 3 against Kansas City. I was at the last Tiger White Sox game, the walk-off for Tim Elko. He went 0 for 4 in the game, but he came through with a base hit, and the White Sox won that ball game. I was with my cousin Maceo, and we had a fun time watching that game, just reminiscing about family and everything else in between, and watching a good baseball game with the White Sox winning. I know what this is with the White Sox. I think you and I both know what this is with the White Sox as a team that's going to struggle because they don't have enough quality bats. Luis Robert is supposed to be the best player on the team, and he hit 7th. It just shows you how much he struggled. Andrew Vaughn's in the minor leagues. But I just think that winning 2 out of 3 against Kansas City, splitting a series against the Detroit Tigers. That's a pretty good homestand. And hopefully the Sox will be able to show more moving forward here. But let me just give you what I consider the top 5 guys I enjoy to watch in this lineup for the White Sox. It's Chase Mydroth, it is Vargas, it's Caro, it's Elko, and it might be Teal. We'll see what he does. Kyle Teal, the catcher, is now part of this White Sox team as well. But those are 5 guys I enjoy watching in this lineup on a regular basis. So I look forward to seeing what they do. As far as the pitching is concerned, I'm thinking that Shane Smith might be in the All-Star game for the White Sox. I mean, he has been a steady starter for the Sox. And when I say steady, I'm not saying elite. I'm not saying the upper crust, but there's got to be one representative for the Chicago White Sox in the All-Star game. I think that might be Shane Smith. We'll see. Davis Martin's been very good. I just think looking at this starting rotation, again, there's no real ace here, but you have guys that are pitching pretty well for the White Sox in starting rotation, and that's keeping them above water. In the bullpen, there's some arms in that bullpen too. So here's the thing about the White Sox. I understand that it's going to take some time for this team to contend, but I'm still going to go to the ballpark. I'm still going to watch the White Sox because at least I'm watching the ground floor development of some of these young players. As far as Ishbia is concerned, Matt Ishbia and Jerry Reinsdorf is concerned. So we know that story and how there's so many different parameters and hoops that Ishbia has to go through before he can take full control of the White Sox. This might be 2029. It might be, God forbid, when Jerry Reinsdorf passes away. This might be 2032. But at some point, Ishbia will have full control of this White Sox team, and I can't wait. So the thing that I take solace in as a White Sox fan is that change is coming. Jerry Reinsdorf is 89 years of age, and he realized that too. That's why he stopped Ishbia from buying the Twins or having a large purchase of the Twins and say, hey, why don't you invest in the White Sox? Ishbia already has a small piece, but you saw all these different hoops that Ishbia is going to go through. He's going to start putting money into the organization. I don't know if that means it's always going to be on the field, though. I think maybe some, but as far as like everything else around the White Sox, he'll be investing some cash into the Sox, something that Jerry Reinsdorf is not doing enough of. So, look, I look forward to something new with this White Sox team because this team won the World Series in 2005. And they have not been to the playoffs enough for me. When you're a major market like Chicago, I don't care if you're the quote-unquote second team in town or if that's how people bill you. You still have to compete because it is Chicago after all. And I think that Jerry Reinsdorf, like an old grandfather, just let his home decay. I just think that that's exactly what's happened. Like all of a sudden, a home that had great curb appeal now sucks because Jerry Reinsdorf allowed this team to be in the cellar for it to be one of the worst teams in baseball. And yes, they're growing it with kids, but again, the standard should be young players and also spending money for veteran players to keep yourself in contention in the American League Central. And he has not done enough of that. So again, I enjoy watching the young players, but I'm still bitter that the Sox are not a contender or at least in the mix, spending money, just trying to be a good team. And I just think in a market like this, that's just unacceptable to not spend money and not to try. And I just think that that's bad for the White Sox, that is for sure. But you know what? I enjoy watching these young players, though. They had a fun time. That's that game I was talking about against Detroit where you got the walk-off from Tim Elko, and the Sox had so much fun in that game. And they played well at home. Again, we're presented by Neighborhood Housing Services Chicago. There it is right there, nhschicago.org. We're celebrating their 50th anniversary. Again, having a relationship with them from way back in the 90s, and then for them to be a proud partner with us on ESPN 1000 and also on my podcast, Under the Hood. We appreciate everything from Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago. By the way, I want to talk to you about the NBA. And I had something that happened for the first time in my career. I'll tell you about in just a moment. But first, I want to tell to you about Pacers Oklahoma City. So the finals are there. And Oklahoma City ties the series at 1. They won 123-107 against the Pacers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, so doggone smooth. Just so smooth. Just the way he gets to the basket, how he has, he draws fouls. He's just very, very good. And I just like Oklahoma City's depth in this series. I said Oklahoma City's going to win this in 6 games. I still think they're going to win it in the 6 games. Caruso, Wiggins, coming off the bench for Oklahoma City, and I just think that it's a really good basketball team. I do, and from the Pacers standpoint, Pacers are really solid as well. I love that they get after it defensively. Rick Carlisle has those guys going defensively. They're one of the best teams in the league, just from what I saw in the regular season, just based on how they go defensively. They have so many different weapons that can be able to knock down threes. But I just think that Oklahoma City will have enough to be able to win this series, and I just think Oklahoma City just let go of the rope defensively in game one. They could have won that game. They could be 2-0, but now it's 1-1. But I think eventually Indiana will have another punch at home, and then Oklahoma City will take it from there in 6 games. Could be wrong about that, but I feel strong about that. And something else, too, just very briefly about the NBA. I know that you'll hear from these New York broadcasters or people that are on a high perch talking about nobody cares about Indianapolis and Oklahoma City. And the reason why that broadcasters do this, I'll just give you a little hint about this. You know why they do that is because, and I've produced it and I've watched it for many, many years. Broadcasters don't have to talk about these games if they just minimize the city and just say, well, no one's going to watch it because the TV ratings will say that no one's going to watch the games. I hear this on national radio all the time. I heard it back in the 90s when there's 2 smaller teams, or if it's a smaller market, nobody cares. It's funny, they never say that about the Stanley Cup championship. They never say Sunrise Florida Panthers against the Edmonton Oilers. Nobody cares. But only in the NBA, they shit on it because that way the broadcaster doesn't have to watch it. I know that trick. And for me, as a basketball fan, I'm watching it because I don't care what city they're from. I'm just interested in good basketball. I might be in the minority for some people, but I enjoy really solid basketball. And so I think that we're getting this with this series. Also, this league is in a search for trying to find out who the face of the league is. That's been a conversation over the last month or so. It's like, well, LeBron's going to be passing the torch to who? Anthony Edwards, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander? Is it going to go to Tyrese Halliburton? Who knows? But the point is that it's good, solid basketball. Doesn't matter what city they're from. Is it entertaining? Sure it is. 2 things that the NBA is lacking in these finals. Number one, I don't understand why we don't get the national anthem like we would get in the Stanley Cup final. They got so many commercials, they got so many ads. It's like, where's this national anthem? The other thing is, where's the starting lineups? I mean, they're covering it up with ads and commercials and everything else, and it's kind of like, well, where's the starting lineups? I've noticed this for years, where you had the starting lineups because you heard from the fans, and just the whole pageantry and the presentation is lacking when it comes to the finals. And people are on social media bitching about why the Larry O'Brien Trophy is on the floor and not the finals. I think that's strange. I don't know if it's a big deal, but I think that's strange. So again, Adam Silver's got a long way to go. He's got some things he needs to improve on when it comes to the NBA. That is for sure. Oh, I got to tell you about Legends Bar and Grill, or I should say Legends Grill and Bar in Woodridge. I was there last week. Had a fun time. I got the poster here. I don't think I can show the whole poster, but I love collecting these posters because it's got my name on it, and I'm going to put them in frames. I can get it all in there. Join us June 4th, 6 to 8, J Hood, for a chance to win a twosome in the Grip and Civic Classic. They had the Yingling flights flowing there at this appearance I was in at Legends. There it is from ESPN Chicago. That was a good time. I could get the whole poster in. I wasn't sure if I could. But we had a really good time at Legends Grill and Bar in Woodridge. We thank the people from Euclid Beverage and from Yingling for making it a great event. It was just like there was a putting green out there, and there was a bunch of contestants trying to get the ball into the hole on the putting green. There's a guy that just walked in, didn't even know we had an appearance. He goes, yeah, I'll play, but then was familiar with the station. He goes, oh, that's what this is all about. So that's usually how it works. So that was a lot of fun. So we appreciate people coming out to Legends Grill and Bar. That was my first appearance, I think, for 2025. And hopefully we'll have more later on this year. Star Wars night. So what I did on Saturday, for the first time in my career, I got a chance to broadcast a minor league baseball game. Some of you know that I broadcast UIC Flames baseball and basketball. I've been doing that for over a decade, doing play-by-play on the radio and on. I've done it on ESPN Plus for a long time. And for the first time in my career, I did minor league baseball for the Windy City Thunderbolts out of Crestwood, Illinois, south suburbs, against the Schaumburg Boomers. And it was Star Wars night and fireworks night at the same time. I love the attractions that they have for these minor league games because it was two in one. Bring the kids, let them dress like Star Wars characters. Some of the adults were there dressed like Darth Vader and all the characters, Chewbacca and everything else from Star Wars. And there was fireworks night afterwards. So I appreciate the Windy City Thunderbolts having me be on the broadcast for my first opportunity to do minor league baseball. I was not good. I can admit it to you. I was, for someone who's been doing play-by-play for a long time, I don't know if I was amped up. I think that I can say for myself that every time I take the mic, I can be nervous. I might talk too fast or whatever because I want to do well. I'm excited about being able to talk to you or when I do play-by-play, but I was not good Saturday. And it stuck with me all weekend. But I will not let that steal my joy of talking to you. I just wanted to tell you and let that come out that, hey, man, sometimes it's just not your day. And I don't think I was very good. But I had fun being there. I'm glad that they asked me, but I fell short of exactly how good I could be doing play-by-play, and maybe because I was unfamiliar with the surroundings and everything else. But I'm glad that they asked me, but I got to be better in that spot. There's shows I do on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show where I know that I could be a lot better, punching the steering wheel saying, why didn't I say that? And how come I didn't say it like this? And when you're just vamping and when you do stuff off the top of your head, it may not come out as smooth as you like. And so for those young broadcasters out there that's watching or listening to the show Under the Hood, sometimes not your day. Saturday was not my day. But I enjoyed being there because it was a beautiful night for baseball and being in Crestwood and a good 20, 25-minute drive to the crib. It was good. But, yeah, got to be better in that spot. That is for sure. And I've got one other thing I want to mention. And, that's with the Chicago Sky. So the reason why I want to bring them up is because almost a sold-out house at the United Center for the Indiana Fever against the Chicago Sky. Now, of course, the reason why it was almost sold out is because their thought is that, well, Caitlin Clark was supposed to play for the Indiana Fever, and, of course, she's hurt. So now it's like, a lot of the really good Indiana players against the best of the Chicago Sky. Unfortunately, Courtney Vandersloot, she tore her ACL, so she's out for the year. The Sky is 2-5 right now. They fired their coach after one season. It's like, wow, you fired the coach. They're now 2-5. In the game, Angel Reese went 9 points and 12 rebounds. Cardoso, 10 points and 6 rebounds in the game. And the Sky lost 79-52. That was not good. Two things with the Sky. Number one, there needs to be some coaching for Reese and Cardoso and some of these other players, especially young players in this roster. I don't understand why Reese has not been able to get to the basket more and finish. Cardoso, same thing. I mean, she should be a double-double machine. I don't get why she's not. But the other thing is, I saw this over the weekend too. People said, okay, 2-5, struggling in a lot of games, bring in Tom Thibodeau. Let Tom Thibodeau be the head coach for the Chicago Sky. I'll tell you one thing, Tom would get him right. I don't think he's ever coached women's basketball, but you want to make another coaching change? Ask Tom. He's available. Tom, would you like to coach the Chicago Sky? Come back to the Shy and help the Sky team? There needs to be some coaching for these young players, though, seriously. I mean, that's the thing. Like, they should be much better than they have been, and they're 2-5, and it's not good. If we want to keep this Caitlin Clark thing going with Angel Reese, and I love a battle, the Sky have to actually win some ball games and be a better ball club. Vandersloot being out sucks, that is for sure, for the Sky, but they need perimeter shooting, and they need some coaching to help these young players. Just because they play at a high level in college doesn't necessarily mean they're ready for the pros. And I just think that, for these two, Reese, Cardoso, some of these other young players on this team, they need coaching and tutoring so they can improve. Otherwise, just a bunch of women just hanging out on the basketball court. We're presented by Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, nhschicago.org. You're ready to get your own home, plant your own roots. Check it out, nhschicago.org. My hope is that you have a tremendous week. Don't forget to catch me on the Cap and J Hood Morning Show. You can listen locally on ESPN 1000 AM. And, of course, to download the ESPN Chicago app. If you download the ESPN Chicago app, you can hear all the shows from ESPN Chicago, including my show every morning with David Kaplan. We have a lot of fun with that show, and we hope that you can be able to be part of it as well, checking in. Hope you have a great week. I will talk to you next time on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.